Hi, this is Kelly from Petaka Kelly and Play Learn Talk, and in today's video we're going to be talking about some different ways you can be setting up your answers in your boom card creations. I recommend you set aside maybe 5 to 10 minutes at the most to really focus in on this lesson so that by the end of it you know how to create answers that are draggable and drop zone or are clickable. You're also going to learn how to randomize your answers or choose not to randomize them. And we're going to go through a few different ways that you can be positioning your answers that might really make your decks look really nice based on how your deck is going to be. So if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I will get back to you, and I hope you enjoy this lesson. All right, so here's a framework of the page. We have a pilot, a photo of a pilot, and we have a clip art stewardess. We have a field of 3 picture answer options. Now, anything I teach you today with the picture widget is also going to apply, most likely, I'm like 99% sure, to the word widget, which is going to be your multi-choice widget. So I will point that all out in the workstation. If you have any questions about that, once again, just leave a comment below. All right, so here we have choose something to protect the pilot's eyes from the sun while he flies. We have one answer that is designated as correct. You notice when I hover my mouse over them, they are going to highlight, and we have a border on our actual container and then around each option. Okay, all of our images are also the same size, and if I hit any of the wrong answers, it's going to give me that visual and the audio feedback. Now I'll quickly point out, if you want to turn off the audio feedback when you are using a deck, you simply want to click this here and it's going to turn it off for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and click this one. That is our correct answer. The only reason it does not proceed us on to the next page right now is this is my teaching deck for YouTube, so I have it set to Flow Magic. So I'm just going to have to tab through. Okay. All right, here's our next variation. So these are randomized just like the one before, but now we can clearly see they're in different positions. They're also different sizes, okay? So I've used a different variation of the multi-pick container, and we will see that shortly in the workstation. So this is the largest, medium size, and smallest. All right, let's go on to the next one, or let's go back and select the answer. Here we go. And here we have another variation. This does not look good for the page, just wanted to show you, you can move them around, and these are all randomizing within the container. The container is not visible, but each image has a border and a white background. Okay, so we'll select the correct answer, wrong answer, move on to the next page. All right, here is an option that we have a visible container and the images have visible borders, but these are now draggable. And we have a drop zone assigned. So if we put that in the drop zone, it's going to say whoops and give us that huge red circle that is letting us know that's incorrect. Okay, so let's go ahead and give the stewardess the sunglasses, and that is the correct answer. Okay, in this variation, these images simply do not have their border, so it's the identical thing, they just don't have their border now. It looks a little bit cooler without the border. All right. And once again, giant feedback. And now we don't have a border on our container or on our images. And it looks like that. So let's go ahead and go into the workstation. We'll see the difference between each of these. We'll scroll down. So here's the first one. So we have a container. This is our multi-pick container. And then we have our images. So when you first pull out a multi-pick container, let's go ahead and do that on this page to be really clear. We'll pull out a multi-pick and a multi-choice really quick. So you notice these are essentially identical. That is why I'm 99% sure that everything we do with this one is going to apply to this one. I highly recommend you use these containers. When I first started making boom cards, I didn't use them whatsoever. I just used text box and buttons, and I think that this really will make your life so much easier. They're not hard to use, so pay attention to this video and you should be able to use them by the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at just the multi-pick container. So you notice I have a field of 3. If you want a field of 4, this is going to work great for you as the default. But let's say you want a field of 3. We can also do a field of 2 as a demonstration. So we're going to copy this image. We'll duplicate it right here. Okay, so let's make this one a field of 3. We're going to click on one image and delete it. Okay, and you notice when we resize it like this, it does not actually go in the order of this one. Okay, so how did I get a row of 3? Well, I clicked on my container and I went down to where it says grid type, or type, it says grid. I just changed the columns to 3, okay? So now it gives me each image in one column. We have 3 images, okay? So now if I move it over, let's say I wanted to really have one column of 3 images, it's gonna look like this. So if we want it to look different and not like these narrow pieces, we want to actually make sure there's one column. Okay, so that's just a tip right there. So if we stretch it out, it's going to make them a lot larger. Okay, so these are all overlapping. Okay, I don't know why I pulled out the second one. I can just demonstrate with this one here. Okay, so here we go. So we want to turn it into a row, but now it's set to one column, so it's going to look like that. That's also how you might get an answer looking like this, but let's go ahead and change it to 3 columns. There we go. Okay, so if we wanted to have a field of 2, we'd simply delete that one. Once again, we have that space because we have 3 columns set, so we just would change it to 2 columns. All right, and then there's your answer. So once again, you want to just switch it over to the column size that you need, just like that. Okay, be very careful to make sure your correct answer is the one that you want as the correct answer. If it has the green highlight, that is your correct answer. Okay, so if when you imported your images, let's go ahead and change this back to the other format. If when you selected your images, you put the wrong image in the wrong spot, so like let's say this was the passport and these were the sunglasses, okay, you would need to either double click and swap out the photos, or you simply just click on the image and change that one to correct and change this one to wrong. Okay, that would solve the problem as well. Now you can very easily have multiple correct answers as well. So let's go back to the field of 3. I'm going to click on the container and make it a column of 3. Okay, and we already deleted it, so how do we get it back? Well, let's just click on this image, Command C, click in the container, Command B, and now we have another image. Okay, so you could just double click on it and swap it out for something else. And those 2 would be considered correct, and this one would be incorrect. Okay, or we could just do that. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So this one here is the same container. However, this container is a flow type. All right, so let's pull out that container. So we have our multi-pick container, and we are going to change it to flow. So when that happens, it sizes them all down. Okay, we're going to delete one so that we have a field of 3, and let's see what happens when we move them. So when we move them, this is not my favorite container. It just, it puts them in whatever column we want, okay, or arrangement we want, but the sizes don't automatically change. So I feel like this one's just a little bit more work. However, this one allows us to have different sizes, okay? So we can just go ahead and make them a little bit different sizes. You want to be careful with this though, because when you do that, depending on where you have it positioned, the photos, when they randomize, right, because they're clicked down here as randomize, when they randomize, they might look kind of funny because, my sunglasses are smaller than the passport book. So just be mindful that they might, just preview it before you do it. Okay, so that's how you would randomize it and have it in different positions, just like in this one. Okay, and we'll move on to this one. This container is a fixed container. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab that one out. So we have multi-pick, and we'll go ahead and delete one. Click on the container and change it to fixed. Okay, and we'll make our container a little bit larger. Now anywhere I want to put this image, I can also change the size of it. I can put it anywhere I want within this container, okay, and it is going to stay there, and then the size is also going to change to whatever I want, which is nice. Okay, so let's do this. We'll make this one really huge, like that, okay, and then the actual container itself is randomized. All right, so that's how you would get something like this. So my container is just a tall rectangle, and then I have my images, different sizes. Now you notice the background is white. If I wanted to change the background of the image to transparent, I'm going to come over to background and hit transparent. Okay, and now it still has a border. So if I wanted to get rid of the border, I would go over to border and say none, and then it would have no border or background. All right, now for draggable images, we're also going to get to use that container. So here, if we click on the container, you can see it is a grid container with 3 columns. Now all I did was just click on them and make them draggable. Okay, so let me go ahead and demonstrate that here. So we have our multi-pick container. We're going to delete one, click on the container, make it have 3 across. Okay, right now we have them as clickable images, but we're simply going to click on all 3 of them at the same time. I'm holding Command on my keyboard. We're going to make them draggable. Okay, So now we need to designate accuracy, right? So the way we're going to do that is by adding a drop zone. I really like this grid format because it resizes everything for you. I think it's the most efficient one. So I'll just point that out. Okay, so for our drop zone, we just want to grab a text box, delete the text from within, stretch it out to cover the area that we want to be our drop zone area, and then we're going to hit drop zone. Now we want to select our correct answer, whatever it might be or whichever one it might be, and we simply move the hand over to the little flag, and then this is our correct answer. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in some of the images. And you do not need to worry about connecting these two draggable images because they are incorrect answers, okay? And you don't need to worry about there not being a green or red highlight because when you do a draggable image, it is designated as correct when you connect it. So as long as you see that blue line to the answer that you want correct, everything's going to work perfectly. Now, if you don't want these answers to be randomized, you just want to unclick that little box there, but we want them randomized, okay? And let's see, we'll move on to the next one. So with this one, all I did was I clicked on each of my images and I got rid of their border and then I changed their background to transparent. Okay, so then we just have that outline of the container itself. Now on this one, I got rid of everything. So I would simply come over, click on the container itself, and then do none. All right. And that would be that. So I think that covers everything. Please let me know if you have any questions and what you would like to see next. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to share it with any other educators or therapists who are creating boom cards and would find it beneficial. I will see you in tomorrow's video.